Hi everyone, good day and welcome to our oral communication subject. This is Miss Ira Resurrection Bambase and I am your instructor for oral com. And for today's class, we will be having our lesson 3, which is the functions and features of effective communication. So if you would have noticed, very light ng functions ay napag-usapan na natin ng lesson 1. No? Functions or goals ng communication, bakit ka nga ba nakikipag-usap, nakikipag-converse sa ibang tao, no? Ang naibigay ko sa inyo ng lesson 1 ay gusto mo magbenta, gusto mo mag-disseminate ng information, gusto mo mag-inquire, no? Yun ay teaser pa lang, kumbaga. This time, we'll go deeper and wider about that. And idadagdag din natin yung features ng effective communication. Okay? Are you ready, class? All right. So for the objectives or goals of our lesson 3, the first one is to determine the functions of communication. Okay. The second one is to analyze the features of effective communication. And third is to learn how to overcome barriers. Okay. So pag-uusapan din natin yung barriers o yung mga naghihinder, nag-interrupt, nagde-disrupt sa communication process. Alright, so I have here a photo or 4 photos describing or giving sense, making sense of communication. Okay, so if you would have noticed, people communicate in many different ways. Okay, but every time we communicate, it always serves a function. Okay, katulad na lang na nabanggit ko noong lesson 1 natin, if you would remember, doon sa how to describe communication, napag-usapan natin yung proactive, being proactive, or you have that initiative that even before the communication starts, you already have this goal in your mind kung bakit ka makikipag-usap. No? Pwedeng gusto mong magbenta, gusto mong bumili, gusto mong magtanong, okay? So, communication as a human activity always serves a function. Every time na nakikipag-usap ka, nakikipag-communicate ka, merong function, merong sense, okay? Meron kang goal. Why do you do that? Why do you converse with other people? Okay? So, these functions highlight how humans use language for different purposes. Okay? And each function stresses on how language is utilized and how it is affected and influenced by time, place, and situation. Okay? So now, let's talk about the different functions of communication. So when we say functions, we simply refer to the uses of communication in our personal lives, okay? So society na ating tinitirahan in our daily lives in general, okay? So these are the general categories of the reasons why we use communication in the first place, okay? And probably we describe how we use communication in our daily lives as well, right? Okay, so I have here the first function of communication. Okay? Sabi dito, nakikipag-communicate daw tayo to control or to regulate. Okay? Can be used to control the behavior of human beings. It can be used to regulate the nature and amounts of activities human engage in. Okay? So we basically communicate because we want to regulate certain behaviors. Okay? We want to regulate certain actions or we want people to do particular actions. Okay? So a good example of this is when our parents tell us to do something. Okay? Yun nalagay ko dyan picture. Pinagugas ka ng pinggan, pinagmap ka, inutusan kang bumili sa kanto, no? So some household chores, they want us to do um some household chores or sa school setting, no? They want us to do better in school. So stuff like that could be a form of control. Okay? So they use language, they use their actions, no? They use their emotions and they even use their facial expressions to express that they want us to do certain things. Okay? In short, kinokontrol nila tayo or nire-regulate, pinipigilan. Okay? So, halimbawa, masyado nang napapadalas yung paglabas-labas mo, kinakausap ka ng nanay mo para bigyan ka ng curfew, para paalalahanan ka na you should be with good friends, no? to remove yourself from a situation na hindi magiging maganda yung resulta kung panay bad influence yung nakukuha mo sa mga nakakasama mo, sa mga kaibigan mo, kailangan i-reduce mo yung time mo na kasama sila, okay? So that's another example for control or regulation as a function of communication. And another thing, no, pasok tayo dun sa nabanggit ko kanina na school setting, no, sa classroom when a teacher asks you to sit down, no, to listen, so on and so forth. So basically, when we use language or any form of communication in order to regulate or control someone's behavior or other people's behavior and action, then that could refer to this particular function of communication. Okay po? The second one, we have here social interaction. We communicate to have social interaction. Okay, so can be used to produce social interaction in their daily course of living. Human beings develop and maintain bonds, intimacy, relations, and associations. Okay, so communication is also used as a form of social interaction. We communicate or converse with other people because we want to connect with them. Okay? We want to establish connections. We want to formulate relationships in order for us to function as a whole. Okay? So for example, noong first day ninyo sa klase, 'di ba hindi naman kayo magkakakilala lahat, siguro meron iilan lang. But still, since you want to have a good relationship with your classmates, you start to talk to them, no? You start to share whatever you have. For example, you like this, you don't like this, what school or where school you came from. Okay? So, in order to build a relationship, nakikipag-interact ka sa iyong mga kaklase. Okay? So we also want to create friendships. We want to form intimate connections with other people. Next example, when you are talking with your friends, no, that's a form of social interaction. And when you talk to your friends, that's also a form of communication. Okay? So you communicate whatever information that you want to share with them. You share your ideas, you share your feelings with them, and at the same time, while doing so, the bond that you have with your friends or with your families or the people that you share other forms of relationship with, they grow stronger or they become more intense. Okay? So, lumalalim ng lumalalim yung relasyon mo. No, kahit hindi romantic relationship, yung halimbawa ay kaibigan mo, girl to boy, no? Or vice versa. Once na lumalalim ang inyong pag-uusap or madalas mong nakakakwentuhan, 'no, lumalalim napapansin mo na lumalalim din yung relasyon niyo, 'no, parang tumitibay yung pagsasamahan ninyo, okay? So that is social interaction. So aside from those things, we also communicate to motivate not just other people, but also to motivate ourselves. Motivation refers to a person using a language to express desires, wants, likes and dislikes, inclinations, choices, and aspirations. Okay? So sometimes you want to influence the behavior and the action of others without specifically controlling them. Okay, without really dictating what they should do, but rather we want them to consider certain options. Okay, so that could be a form of motivation because you are trying to affect them in a way without even dictating what they should do. Okay, we try to influence their reactions, influence their decisions. So that could be a form of using communication as a motivation. Okay, so take for example, speakers in seminars, particularly professional development seminars or personal development seminars, they would always want to instill information that they know would have a positive impact or positive influence, no, to the people listening to them. Yun yung ginagawa nilang topic kasi they want to motivate. Sineshare nila halimbawa yung sarili nilang experience to the audience because you want to motivate them. That's why you are communicating. Kasi nga, Halimbawa, kinaya mo, so you want other people na kayanin din nila as well, especially if you have the same problem or if you have the same ground, the same situation na nagsimula kayo from the scratch, walang generational wealth, walang tulong ng kamag-anak, lahat ng hirap ay kinaya mo. So, ikaw as a speaker, no, that's our example, you are sharing your stories with your audience because you want to motivate them, no? You want to motivate them to also achieve things that you already achieved kasi posible. Okay? So, posible na umahon sa kahirapan kahit walang tulong ng generational wealth. Pag sinabi natin generational wealth, yung mana sa mga magulang, yung medyo may kaya na yung magulang, kaya ikaw hindi ka nagtatrabaho or hindi ka nagwo-working student kasi pag uwi mo sa bahay ay ang focus mo na lang ay yung mga assignments 'no, that's generational wealth. May kaya na yung mga magulang mo, may na-provide na silang negosyo, positive income, may mga work na sila, okay? You want to motivate, other people to be able to be successful also 'no, as a resource speaker or as a resource person. That's our example for that, okay? So, kaya usually yun yung mga topic nila, yung mga personal development, professional development, tapos shine-share ng speaker yung nangyari sa buhay niya. Kasi nga kapag nangyari in reality, so there's a high possibility na mangyari din sa ibang tao yung napagdaanan mo. Okay, so they want to develop certain skills, no, without really saying that this is what should be done. Okay, so they just want people to consider those things and see for themselves if they would want to be doing all of those. Okay, so aside from that, when you tell yourself that you can do this or you tell your friend that particular praise, that could be a form of motivation also. Okay, because you want them um, to do good, no? You want to inspire them, you want to motivate them without actually directly telling them that they should be doing whatever you are saying. Okay. We also use communication as a form of motivation. We basically power up or increase their desire, their wants, their needs, whatever strength they have. Okay. So we influence them in a manner that is positive in a way. Okay. All right. So the next one is information dissemination. This is perhaps the most basic function of communication. No? If it's not the most basic, then it's the most widely regarded function or use of communication in the society in our daily and personal lives. Okay, so ito yung madalas na function or goal natin kung bakit tayo nakikipag-usap para makapagpalawig, makapagbigay ng impormasyon sa ibang tao. So information dissemination functions to convey or give information. Giving information usually comes in a form of statements of facts, grammatically known as declaratives. Okay, so when we want information to reach more people, or when we want certain knowledge, certain ideas to reach more people, that is a form of communicating with the purpose of disseminating information. Okay, so because you want to share it, you want other people to know about it, aside of course from giving out or sharing or circulating information, certain pieces of information, when you get information from other people, that is also a form of information dissemination. Or when you receive information from them, okay? It could be ideas and knowledge from them, then that could be a form of information dissemination. So take for example in the classroom. When a teacher delivers a lesson, that could be considered a form of information dissemination because she is giving knowledge that the students may not know or may know a little of, and she had learned these pieces of information from before as well, no, during her years of study. So for example, yung ginagawa natin ngayon, information dissemination, I am giving you pieces of information from the years of study I had in college, no, in senior high school as well. Okay. So now she is relying or relaying the information as part of her work, no, as part of my work as a teacher. Okay. So another good example of using communication for information dissemination is when we listen to the news. Okay. So when we watch the news or read the newspaper, or even when we go to our feeds on Facebook, na, then that could be a form of information dissemination because we learn something new. We acquire certain pieces of information, knowledge, and even skills. Okay. So sometimes that could be helpful or that could influence or affect us in one way or another. Okay. So, last but not the least, we use communication to express our feelings and, of course, our emotions. For number five, emotional expression facilitates people's expression of feelings and emotions. Humans always need to express their emotions verbally and non verbally. Emotions are a central part of who we are. Okay, so we communicate because we want other people to understand us. Okay? So not just understand what we know, but also understand how we feel. Okay? So in order for us to do that, we engage in conversations, we engage in communication process, and it doesn't necessarily have to be using words. No? Katulad nga nung nabanggit ko dun sa mga previous discussions natin, mga kaibigan nating Bingi at Pipe, no, even if they are not able to speak or to express themselves verbally, they are still able to communicate with the use of facial expressions, hand gestures, no, body language. Okay? So your facial expressions, your body language could also indicate certain emotions, certain feelings to other people. No, yung simpleng ang pagkamot lang ng ulo, minsan gets mo na naiinis na siya, 'no, o kaya naiinip na, okay? So take for example, you're going through something in your life and you confide to a friend about it, okay? So the way that you express your emotions, the way that you confine those feelings to that person, no, the way you share those feelings with that person, that is already a form of emotional expression. Okay? And it doesn't necessarily have to be with someone. Okay? So the fact that you cry because of it, the fact that you felt sad about it, your face already reflects that, okay, that could be a form of emotional expression that is communicating with the purpose of expressing your emotions, your feelings, and whatever it is that you're keeping in your heart and in yourself. Okay? Now that we know the different functions of communication or the uses of communication in our daily lives, the question still remains, how can we effectively communicate? Paano ba yung effective communication na sinasabi nila? Kasi ang alam ko lang communicate eh, no? Paano ko malalaman kung effective ba yung nagawa kong communication or yung ginagawa nating communication? Okay? So, how can we effectively communicate in order to serve the purposes of control, social interaction, motivation, emotional expression, and information dissemination? Okay. So you have to note that in order for communication to be called effective or to be described as effective, the communicators involved in the communication process must have a shared understanding of what is going on between them. Okay? So the process of communication, yung message, yung channel, and all of its elements have to be clear to both parties, okay, or to both communicators. In that way, that shared understanding is formulated and maintained. Okay? So meaning there is a lesser risk of misunderstanding between the two because they have a connection. They already have established connection between the two of them. Okay, because of that shared understanding. So therefore, as one of the communicators, either you are the speaker or you are the listener or receiver of the message, it is your task to communicate effectively. Okay, it is your task to communicate effectively whatever you want to say. Okay, so now question again is, how do we do this? Okay, so paano ba yung effective communication? Kasi paulit-ulit si Miss I, to have an effective communication, to make sure that whenever you communicate, that should be effective. Okay, so back in 1952, there were two authors who wrote a book entitled Effective Public Relations. So basically, this book is talking about how we could establish relationships between and among the members of society. Okay? So ito yung book na yon, entitled Effective Public Relations. And it was written by Scott M. Cutlip and Allen H. Center. Sila yung authors nitong Effective Public Relations book noong 1952. Okay? So now, these two authors also propose what we now refer to as the seven C's of effective communication. Seven C's kasi lahat yung seven words na yan ay nagsisimula sa letter C. Okay? So, ito yung magiging clue word natin ng effective communication. So, we'll find out kung yung ginagawa mo bang pakikipag-usap sa pang-araw-araw mong buhay ay effective through this seven C's. Okay? So, according to them, these seven C's are the key to better understanding between and among communicators. Okay? So, if we practice these seven C's, then there will be effective communication between and among communicators. Okay? So, you might be asking why seven C's? It's seven C's again because all of these features of effective communication begin with the letter C. So, it is easier for you to remember. Okay, so let's start. The first C, the first one is completeness. Okay? From the term itself, complete, pag sinabi nating kompleto, no, we describe communication as something, when we describe communication as something that is complete, it simply means that everything that the receiver or listener needs to hear from the speaker or the sender of the message is already there. Okay, kumpleto na para matawag na effective yung communication. Walang kulang, walang tanong na kasunod. Kasi dun sa sasabihin mo pa lang ay kumpleto na lahat. Okay? Halimbawa, mag-a-announce ka na merong acquaintance ball. So yung what, when, where, how, what, when, where, why, who, wow, no, the six are the five W's and the one H, kompleto. Okay? So, walang tanong dapat kapag kumpleto yung message mo or yung way ng pakikipag-communicate mo. Okay? So it's included in the message. Everything is there already. Everything that is important, everything that is relevant is already in the message or indicated in the message. Okay. So now, in this way, when all of the details are there, it's complete. It will enable the listener or the receiver of your message to respond, react, or evaluate the message that he or she had received properly. Okay? So, in that way, communication flows smoothly. Okay? Smooth siya, walang problema. So, how can we do this? When you talk to someone, when you want to share information, whether it's for emotional expression or information dissemination, or whether it's control, motivation, or social interaction, whatever purpose you have in mind, if your message contains all the necessary information, contains all the necessary details, necessary ideas, necessary emotions, then it's going to be easier for your listener to understand what you are talking about. Okay po. Again, when we refer to completeness, it's simply having all the important details that the receiver needs to hear from a speaker. Okay, so a good example of a specific situation that highlights completeness is when we invite our friends, no, another example to certain events or even to simple random things or activities that you want to enjoy with them. So more often than not, when we invite our friends, we provide the necessary details that they need in order for them to say yes to you. Okay. So take for example, you want to invite your friend to the movies. Okay. So you ask them when you want to go to the movies. Um, it's on this day, no? What are we watching? No? What time? What exact time? No? Kasi sa panonood ng sine, meron siyang first two shows in the morning and then two shows in the afternoon and then maybe two shows in the evening, no? So you have to be specific about that, no? What movie are you going to be watching? Okay, so you give those kinds of information and what should they bring, what should they do, what should they wear, no? Stuff like that. And additionally, if you are practicing completeness whenever you communicate, okay, so make sure to remember or take note of this one. Follow-up questions are often avoided. Okay. There are less clarifications, less concerns, less issues coming from the receiver of the message. Kasi nga maliwanag na, kompleto na lahat ng sinabi mo. So, wala na sila mga follow-up pa. Okay? Okay, so in the seven C's ay conciseness. Okay? Again, the second C is what we refer to as conciseness. So, from the term itself, concise meaning it is brief. Okay, it is short. However, according to Kotlib and Center, it doesn't necessarily have to be always keeping your messages short. So, meaning your messages don't necessarily have to be one word or short phrases. Kasi sabi ni Miss I, concise siguro pwede na yung one word. Maiintindihan na siguro yung message ko. So, in-emphasize, no, ng ating authors ni Cutlip at ni Center na hindi porkit concise, ibig sabihin ay isang word or dalawang words na lang ang gagamitin mo. Ang ibig nilang sabihin sa concise ay simply you have to make your statements or your message direct or straight to the point. Okay? So, yun yung concise. Kailangan straight to the point. So whenever you talk, make sure that you go straight to what you want to say. Do not keep it long in such a way that you are already providing details that are unnecessary. Okay? So magyayaya ka lang na kumain sa labas, ay ichinig ka muna yung kapatid mo, ichinig ka muna yung kapitbahay nyo. So avoid unnecessary details. Okay? Most especially if it doesn't necessarily connect with the original intent or the original purpose or even the original message itself. Okay, so just keeping it direct, straight to the point, or straightforward, then that could refer to conciseness already. Okay, so take for example, if you want to confess to your crush, go straight to the point that you like them because of this and that. Okay, so yun yung example natin sa conciseness. All right, so for the third C, in our seven C's of effective communication is what we refer to as consideration. Okay, so from the root word itself, consider, meaning we are simply taking into account certain things. Okay, so for this case, what kind of things? Ano kaya yung mga aspeto or features na tinitake natin into consideration? Okay, so consideration in terms of communication or being considerate in terms of communication, it's simply taking into account relevant information about the people or person you are talking to or simply the receiver of your message. Okay? So it could be their mood. Okay? It could be their background. Okay? Meaning where did they come from? Who are they as a person? Okay? So you can also consider the race, culture nila, beliefs nila, preferences nila. Okay? What do they value? Ano ba yung pinapahalagahan nila? Ano ba yung pinapaniwalaan nila? Their education? Are they only middle schoolers or high schoolers or they are older than you? No? Yung mga ganong bagay. You have to consider their status and their needs as well. Okay? So, baka kasi speech ka ng speech, ang pag speechan mo pala ay mga grade 6, no? Pero ang ginawa mong speech ay lahat ay English, no? Paano naman nila mauunawaan? Siguro yung iilan mauunawaan, pero yung karamihan ba, mai-inspire ba sila sa message mo or mabibigyan ba nila ng importansya yung mga sinasabi mo kung straight English yan to the grade 6 pupils, no? So you have to take into consideration those kind of things. Okay? So these are just some of the things that you have to consider, and actually there are plenty, there are a lot, and you might find that hard work now. However, when we are being considerate of someone's information or being considerate And in general, no, of the people listening to us, the people we are communicating with, we also avoid misunderstanding. We avoid miscommunication as well, and remember that there are certain instances or situations that we as speakers or you as a speaker no need to adapt to whoever it is that you are talking to. Okay? So that's also important as well because when you learn to adapt, no, kapag nagiging flexible ka na, yun ang tawag natin. When you become more considerate of their situation or more considerate of who you are um as listeners no of who you are as a speaker of who they are as listeners, then it is easier for them as well. Okay, so the way that you deliver your message will also change, and alam mo sa sarili mo na kapag dine-deliver mo na yung message na yun, kailangan maging kainti-intindi para sa kanila, 'no? Kailangan mabilis nilang maintindihan, ma-absorb yung mga information na sinasabi mo in a faster way compared to others, okay? Therefore, to simply put it, it is just easy for them to process the contents of the message. Okay, so that's consideration. Kailangan alamin mo yung background, kailangan intindihin mo kung saan sila nanggaling. Baka English ka ng English, hindi naman marunong mag-English yung kausap mo. Tagalog ka ng Tagalog, hindi naman marunong mag-Tagalog ang kausap mo. So you have to consider that to have an effective communication. Okay, next. Now let's move on to concreteness. According to this feature of effective communication, communication can only be referred to or described as effective when a message is concrete. So paano ba natin masasabi na konkreto yung mensahe? When we say concrete, it is something that's solid. It is something reliable. Okay? It is something that is valid. Okay? You can feel that it is true. It is real. It is there. Okay, so how do we do that? So when we communicate, when we want to practice concreteness, whatever it is that you are communicating, okay, whether it is an information, it's an emotion, you have to make sure that it is supported by facts, by figures, or real-life examples and situations. Pag sinabi nating concrete, in short, dapat ay makatotohanan. Dapat ay totoo yung sinasabi mo. Okay? For example, that is uh, very particularly important, no? Especially when we use communication for information dissemination, no? Because as speakers, we want to be as reliable as possible. Okay? We want people to take whatever it is that we are sending as the truth. Okay? We want them to fully consider it and accept it as a fact. So in order for them to do that, they have to know if what you are saying is reliable. Okay? If it is something that is valid. Okay? So what you can do as a speaker is give examples. Okay, wag kakalimutan, you have to support whatever you say with examples, supported with facts, supported with evidences. Okay, basically that means that what you are saying is true. Okay po. All right, number 5, the fifth C, we have courtesy. Okay, courtesy is simply referring to respect. When you are respecting your listeners, your receivers of the message, especially or in particular their culture, no? Ginagalang mo or nire-respeto mo yung mga values nila, mga beliefs nila, then that is already showing courtesy. Okay? And in courtesy, we are simply acknowledging that our listeners might be different from who we are. Okay, they are also coming from different backgrounds, so in a way you are also being considerate. Okay, so when you practice consideration, you are also showing them respect, you are showing courtesy to whoever they are as listeners or whoever they are as persons. Okay? So when you practice courtesy, you also avoid offending anyone. Since we are showing respect, iniiwasan natin na maka-offend sa mga sasabihin natin. Okay? So as much as possible, you avoid hurting their feelings because you want to be as respectful as possible. That's courtesy. The sixth C in effective communication is clearness. Okay, so this feature of effective communication simply implies the use of simple and specific words to express your ideas. Okay, so it's just saying that you don't necessarily have to be using highfalutin words, no, in order for you to sound smart. Okay, because sometimes there are certain cases wherein we try to use big words in order for us to come off as smart. No? Para masabi na eto magaling to, matalino to. Yung mga words na ginagamit mo ay hindi na maintindihan ng mga nakikinig sa'yo dahil masyado nang malalim yung English mo. Okay? So, as someone who is credible, as someone who is reliable, you have to remember that if your listeners cannot understand what you are saying, then that will not make you an effective communicator. Kung hindi naiintindihan ng kausap mo ang sinasabi mo, ibig sabihin hindi ka effective communicator. Okay po. So the communication process already failed at the transmission of the message or the formulation of the message itself. Okay. So as much as possible, especially if you are simply talking with peers or pag sinabi nating peers yun yung mga kaibigan or talking with people who are younger than you, maybe not as informed, no, as much as you are, then you can just settle for using ordinary words. Okay, make sure na yung ordinary words mo ay specific, no? Or words that are used rather on our daily life, no? But for example, if you are talking with specific group of people, you can use jargons. Okay? Pag sinabi po nating jargons, eto yung mga words na alam lang ng mga tao or group of people na nagtatrabaho halimbawa sa ospital. So they are using words na kapag narinig ng mga pasyente ay hindi mabilis maintindihan or hindi talaga naiintindihan. Kasi yung mga medical people or those people who are working inside the hospital, they are just the ones who understand those business words kung tawagin. Okay? Or jargons, no? For example, is the formative assessment I discussed during our subject orientation. If you would have remembered, I asked you what do you think is the meaning of the formative assessments. So for us teachers, kapag sinabing formative assessments, gets agad ng mga taong nagtatrabaho under the educational industry or educational field because we usually use that words or we usually hear about those words. Alam na namin or gets agad namin kung anong ibig sabihin nun. But for those who are working outside of the educational field or educational industry or katulad ninyo na mga estudyante kapag narinig yung mga words na yun ay hindi agad kayo familiar or hindi nyo kakaunti lang yung knowledge nyo about doon or actually baka hindi nyo alam yung about doon. Okay, so yun po yung tinatawag na jargons or business words. Okay. Those are complex language used by experts in a certain discipline or field like medical jargon, business jargon, police jargon. So again, when you want to be clear, you just have to be simple and you just have to keep it basic or ordinary. Okay? So just keep it easily understandable by others. Okay, so last but not the least, the seventh C, of course, when you communicate, you have to practice correctness. Okay, so bawat banggit ng words dapat ay tama, no? Kumbaga, dapat ay pina-practice natin ang tamang grammar, tamang pronunciation, no? As students, I know you are still learning, you are in the process of baby steps pa lang, no? Nagsisimula pa lang sa pagkatuto or hindi nyo pa alam lahat ng pronunciation or grammar or structures ng sentences. We as teachers also, hindi din naman namin alam lahat-lahat. No, but in effective communication, we are trying to learn about that in every step of the way in our daily lives. Okay, so a while ago, we talked about being concrete, no? Supporting it with evidences and in a way that's also practicing correctness. Okay. However, for correctness, we also refer to how we use the language. Okay. It refers to the technicalities of using the language. Are you using correct grammar? Are you using the correct spelling of the words? Okay. So correctness and the technical aspect of language use eliminates negative impact on the audience and of course increases the credibility and effectiveness of your message, whatever that is. Okay. So for example, nakarinig tayo ng wrong grammar, no? O kaya ay wrong pronunciation or wrong construction ng sentence sa isang tao, the next time na magsalita sila medyo bumababa na yung kumpiyansa or pagtitiwala natin kasi we heard a lot of errors already. So ito yung tinatawag na nabibuild yung credibility ng isang tao depende sa pagsasalita niya or sa pakikipag-usap niya sa ibang tao. So, certain words, for example, if you say it incorrectly, if you pronounce it incorrectly, or if you just wrote it using a wrong spelling, or you spelled it wrongfully, then it could change meaning. So, you have to be very careful with the technicalities of language as well. Okay? Because language is a powerful tool in communication, and language could mean different things as well as to different people. Okay? So, meron nga mga words na kahit isang letter lang yung maiba ay iba na yung ibig sabihin 'no. There are also words naman na kahit same ng spelling, iba naman yung pronunciation at iba din yung gamit or iba yung meaning ng word, okay. So you have to be very careful with the technicalities of language or the rules and other regulations and using the language. Okay, so we're done with the 7 C's of effective communication. Okay, so we learn about the different things that make communication effective. However, it is important to note that there is no such thing as perfect communication. No? More often than not, there are certain factors that limit, disrupt, or hinder the communication process. So kahit pinapractice natin yung 7 C's ng effective communication, lagi nating iisipin na wala rin namang communication na perfect. Walang communicator na perfect kasi lahat nga ng tao nagkakamali. So sa communication process, wala ding perfect kasi merong nakakahinder, nakakasagabal in order to have that perfect communication. So these factors are what we call barriers. Okay. So there are many barriers to communication and this may occur at any stage in the communication process. Kahit nagsisimula ka pa lang, pwede nang makapaghinder or pwede nang may dumating na barrier, pwede nang may mga noise na marinig, no? O kaya sa dulo. So wala siyang pinipili na proseso ng communication kung pauna o padulo o gitna. Mayroon at mayroong makakasalamuha or makaka-encounter na barriers. Okay? So this may also lead to distorted messages and may cause confusion and misunderstanding. Okay, so now let's talk about those barriers to communication. What are these things? What are these factors, elements that hinder, disrupt, interrupt the communication process? So there are actually several categories to the barriers of communication. So we have physical barriers, semantic barriers, language barriers, and social psychosocial barriers. So let's go over it one by one. All right. So first one, we have physical barriers. For example, is a faulty organizational structure. So take for example, when you are working in an office or in an organization or an institution, then if your organizational map is faulty already, then it's gonna be difficult to communicate within and among the members of the system. Like if you have messy office desk, if the working area is too crowded or too small or too big for you, no? Closed office doors or separate areas for people of different status, so it forbids team members from effective interaction with each other. Okay? So that could result in miscommunication and misunderstanding within the organization, within the institution itself. So aside from that, of course, we have noise, no? The physical noise that we hear, yung malakas na music, malakas na pakikipag-usap, pakikipagkwentuhan, kung merong construction sa labas ng room, for example, no? If you are talking to someone or you're just basically in a physically noisy environment, meaning your ears are affected in some way of processing and receiving the information, then that could be referred to as noise or physical noise. Next, we have time and distance. These are also categorized under the physical barriers. For example, if you are in a different time zone, no, then communication might be, or the dynamics of communication might be different. Okay, so distance as well will affect it, because if you are far from someone, even if it's just a short distance, no, take for example a few meters and you're already far, it's very difficult to communicate with that person. Okay, you already have to shout or scream or say it out loud, whatever it is that you are trying to say. Okay, so which of course would be harmful to us as speakers. No, napaos na ng napaos, hindi naman naintindihan nung kakwentuhan mo or nung gusto mong kausapin yung sinasabi mo. Kasi malayo kayo, halimbawa tatawid. Di ka nakatawid, nagsigawan na lang kayo. Nasayang na yung effort, no? Nasayang na yung boses. Okay? Which of course could be unbeneficial for the listeners and as well for you as speaker. No? Okay, so another physical barrier may be having too much information. Okay, so this is very particular to students or people who are trying to study and absorb a lot of information in a limited amount of time or in a short amount of time. So it results more often than not to information overload. Okay, so there is way too many information that is being absorbed, being learned, or being taken into account, for which makes it even more difficult for you to understand them. Okay, because there's way too many, you're having difficulties processing it in your mind, even in the physical sense. If you have way too many papers in front of you, no, may mga taong ganun, kapag sobrang daming kalat or papel sa ibabaw ng mesa, it's very difficult to go through them. So that could be information overload. Halimbawa, magre-review ka kasi merong examination kinabukasan, nag-send si teacher or nagbigay si teacher ng 50 pages na reviewer. So that's information overload. Okay? So lalo na kung kinabukasan na yung quiz or exam. Okay? All right. So the second type of communication barrier is semantic barriers. So when we say semantic barriers, these are simply barriers that pertain to difficulties in using a language, okay? Because certain elements in the language itself makes it hard for us to even relay the information in the manner that we want to relate to. Okay? The English language, for example, we have what we call homophones, homographs, homonyms, connotation, and denotation, those concepts. Okay, so we will go at that one at a time. Okay, so first in semantic barriers is homophones, okay, which are words that have similar sounding words, same pronunciation, but are different in spelling and meaning. So some specific examples include pale and pale, alter and alter. Okay, so dito muna tayo sa pale, no, na spells as P-A-L-E. Ito yung namumutla or maputla, and pale na P-A-I-L. Ito naman yung timba. Okay? So dito naman sa pangalawa, altar, A-L-T-A-R, or na yun, A-L-T-A-R, altar, no, in Tagalog, sa simbahan. And another one, A-L-T-E-R, eto naman yung kapag ina-address mo halimbawa yung pantalon mo based dito sa picture. Okay? So yung homophones, parehas yung pronunciation, no? Halos parehas ng pagkakabanggit, similar sounding words. Pero magkaiba naman sila ng meaning at saka magkaiba naman sila ng spelling. Okay? So yun ay homophones. Okay? All right. Next, another example, we have rain and buy and buy. Rain, ulan, and then the rain na R-E-I-G-N, ito yung um, kinoronahan ka bilang reyna ng ating kingdom. Reign as the kingdom Reign as the kingdom. Reign as the queen of the kingdom, as the princess of the kingdom. Okay? Dito naman sa buy and buy, the first buy, B-U-Y, ito yung bumili. And buy na B-Y-E, ito naman yung nag-buy-buy ka. Okay? Again, ang homophones are words that share the same pronunciation, okay, same sound but different in meaning and different in spelling. Okay. On the other hand, there are also words that have multiple pronunciations, okay, and these are words that we refer to as homographs. Okay, homographs naman kapag magkaiba ng pronunciation. Okay, so to be specific, homographs are words that have the same spelling, meaning they contain the same letters, okay? However, the pronunciation and the meaning of those words are actually different from one another. So take for example, we must polish furniture, okay? So the first word ay linisin or pakinisin, no? And then the second word naman are the people in Poland, okay? Or the furniture is made in the Poland country, okay? Another example is this one, the bandage was wound around the wound, okay? Again, the bandage was wound around the wound. Okay? So yung first word is the past tense of wine or trying to put it around. Okay? Whereas the other one refers to what we get when we get into an accident. Baliktad pala. Okay? Sorry for that. Yung wound, yun yung sugat na kukuha natin sa accident. Iniikot. No, yung isa. Iniikot. Yung isa, sugat. The second one, sorry, for the confusion, no? The bandage was wound. Okay, iniikot around the wound. Yung wound na pangalawa yun yung sugat. Okay, so don't be confused dahil ako yung na-confused na. Okay, so yun po ang meaning nun. And the last one, he could lead if he would get the lead out. Okay, based on the picture, yan naman yung parang sand. Okay? And aside from the first two, there are also words that have multiple meanings. If a while ago they have different sounds but same spelling but different sounds, okay? This time we have words that have the same pronunciation, spelling same then, however multiple meanings, okay? So depending on the context of the sentence, they could have different meanings, and these words are what we refer to as homonyms. Again, they have the same pronunciation, they sound the same, they share the same spelling, they are containing the same letters, but the meaning of these words would vary depending on the context of the sentence where you used it. Okay? So take for example this one, close the window before the bee gets too close. Okay, so the first close refers to shutting the window, whereas the second close, the next word close refers to distance. Okay, minimizing the distance now between you and the bee. Okay, so another good example is this: the dog barks at the trees bark. So you would notice that there are the same sound, they are composed of the same letters, but the first word bark refers to the sound that the dog makes, whereas the second word bark refers to a part of the tree. Okay, so in using language as well, we have these two concepts, and these two concepts are unavoidable. Okay, because sometimes these two concepts are culture bound, it's attached to our culture, it's attached to how language is used in our society. Okay, so these two concepts are what we refer to as denotation and connotation. Okay, so let's try to differentiate the two. When we say denotation, this is the literal meaning of a word. Meaning when you look this word in the dictionary, the meaning that you can find in the dictionary, that is denotation. Okay? So on the other hand, the connotations are emotions and certain associations that we connect to a particular word. Okay, so more often than not, this is because we attach certain feelings, certain emotions, or certain experiences to a certain word that we gladly accept. Okay, so that is the meaning because of those experiences, of those emotions. Okay, so those associations, those attached meanings to particular words could be referred to as connotations. Again, denotations, yun yung makikita mo kapag nagbuklat ka ng dictionary. Connotations, meron ng attached meaning sa word. Okay? So, attached feelings, attached emotions, depende sa gamit sa kultura natin. So take for example the word cheap. Okay, so if you're going to look up the word cheap in the dictionary, you would notice that its denotation or its literal meaning is something that is inexpensive o kaya ay mura, hindi mahal. So when you describe something that is cheap, it is inexpensive. It doesn't cost too much, no? However, there are certain connotations attached to the word cheap. Like when you tell someone, "Oh, you look cheap." So that doesn't mean that the person doesn't cost much. Okay? We are not talking about the price of that person. We are referring to how he or she must be behaving or how or he or she must come off. No, if it's cheap, meaning it's low quality, the connotation that is usually attached to the word cheap is that it is of low quality. It's not something that is good to look at, or it's not something that is reliable. It doesn't necessarily have to be inexpensive for it to be called cheap. No? Siguro tinawag na cheap kasi dito tayo sa connotation na siguro kasi hindi nagustuhan yung fashion style, no? So that could be it. That could be it. Connotations such as that one could also be a form of barrier because sometimes people would take the word point blank, no? Yung literal, yung i-consider nila, they would take it based on its literal meaning, but they are not aware that certain connotations are attached to the particular word already. Okay? So another good example of this one is the word salvage in the Philippines. Okay? So when we say salvage, there is a negative connotation to it. Okay? However, if you are really going to look up salvage in the dictionary, even if you do it right now, and you look up salvage, the word is actually positive in meaning. Okay, so the word is positive in its literal definition or its definition. It means save. Okay, to save. Okay? Makapag-ipon. However, in the Philippines, kapag ginamit natin yung word na language, kapag narinig natin yung word na language, meron agad negative connotation na nakadikit doon, no? Kasi madalas ginagamit yon to refer to people who were killed, no? Na salvage. Okay? So the negative connotation stayed all throughout the years. Okay, so we have other forms of language barriers aside from those technical aspects to language use. There are also other form of language barriers. So take for example, different languages could already result to ineffective communication. Okay? So take for example, if I'm a Filipino and I don't really understand English that much, remember that you are not always communicating using your first language or your native language. So differences in language, no, the languages that we could use also result in ineffective communication. Okay? So there are certain words that you can say, therefore the meaning also changes or the other party could not understand it anymore. Okay? So another language barrier is there's no clarity in speech. So when we say there's no clarity in speech, it's not clear the way that you are projecting the words out of your mouth. Meron nga tayong sinasabi na parang kinakain yung mga salita. Okay? So the way that you are saying it may not be as easily understandable for your listener. Okay? So you have to make sure that when you talk, it's clear. Okay? So it's not as if you are eating your words. So there's an expression for that, no? Do not eat your words, say them out loud. Say them in a manner that would be effective and would be easily understandable and audible for your listeners. Okay? All right. So another language barrier could be when someone is using jargons. Okay? So napag-usapan na natin kanina kung ano yung jargons. Ito yung mga words na very specific lang sa particular na grupo ng tao, no? So this particular group of people are using these words, and when it's used outside that group, other people might not understand it. Okay? So when we use jargons, we have to be careful that we are talking to people who would be able to understand it. Okay? When there is too much use of jargons in a conversation, especially if it's just a normal conversation and you came from two different groups of people, then that could already be a barrier. Okay? So misunderstanding will definitely take place. So you have to remember that when you are also not being specific, meaning you are not really pointing out what it is that you want to say, what it is that you want to deliver, then that could be a form of language barrier as well. Okay? Another category in understanding barriers is socio-psychological barriers. So this is very important because these are barriers that sometimes we do not see now based on the symbol I attach in this PowerPoint presentation. Kung makikita ninyo, when we say psychological kasi, as a isip, no? So we really do not know how we could get past these barriers. After all, sometimes it happens within a person, no? Or it happens in the mind of a person. Inattention is included as a social or socio-psychological barrier. Okay? It is simply not paying attention to a speaker. They could be distracted in some way, so that's why they are not paying attention. Another thing is having a closed mind. When your mind is boxed in a certain belief, no, or a certain idea, then understanding other people could, especially their points of view, might be difficult for you. Another factor of social psychological barrier is your field of experience. Okay, so remember that people came from different backgrounds. Okay, we came from different families, different religions, different experiences. So our fields of experience also vary. Okay, magkakaiba yan. Okay, so what you have experienced or what you have experienced may not have been experienced by someone. Next, group identification could also affect communication or could hinder or disrupt the communication process. Especially, for example, if you identify in a certain group, then there's a culture in that group, and that culture might also be different from the culture of other groups, so that in itself could hinder communicating with other people. Okay. Aside from those things, the way that you view yourself or your self image could also hinder, disrupt, or affect the communication process. It's about how confident you see yourself, no? Do you see yourself worthy of certain opportunities? And so on and so forth. No? So you have to be very careful with how you see yourself when you communicate or how you consider yourself as a new identity. So there's also this problem with distrust. When we see distrust, it's simply not having trust with the source of the information, okay? Or whoever it is that you are talking with. You are doubtful of who they are, what are their intentions, okay? So on and so forth. So that could cause a problem as well. So when you talk to someone, there is also this problem with having poor retention. Okay. Especially right now at this time and age where everything is easily accessible for people, our attention spans have shortened. So you have to consider that one as well in terms of communicating or effectively communicating. Okay. All right. So attitudes and opinions or differences in attitudes and opinions can also affect the way that we communicate. Okay. So even your own attitude and your own opinion could affect the way that you communicate. Minsan pa nga pag hindi natin gusto yung ugali ng isang tao ay hindi na tayo nakikipag-usap doon. Kasi feeling natin hindi naman magkakasundo kasi nga magkaiba kayo ng pag-uugali. Okay? Of course, your emotions are part of social psychological barriers. There are also instances no, wherein we can't help but filter and distort certain parts of the messages that we send. When we filter and when we distort these messages, we are trying to manipulate the content of the messages that we are sending. So sometimes that might result to miscommunication as well. Okay, kapag nalalagyan na ng emosyon yung mga mensahe. Differences in status could also affect the way that we communicate. It could hinder, it could disrupt the way that we communicate. So, take for example, there are certain people who believe that they are above other people. Okay, so of course, they will not talk to people who they believe are below them. For example, if you are someone who is rich and you believe that the rich doesn't have to go down the level of the poor, so you would only talk to people who are rich, no? May mga tao kasing gano'n, hindi sila nakikipag-usap kapag hindi ka saganaan ng buhay, no? Kung mayaman sila, do'n lang sila nakikipag-usap sa mayayaman din. Binabase nila yung kakausapin nila sa estado ng buhay ng tao, no? Okay, so it is also important to note that there are certain features or aspects of our culture that may hinder, disrupt the communication process. So we refer to these things as cross-cultural barriers. So an example of this language, no, since language is one of the main aspects of culture, no, so different cultures may have different languages. So it could be considered differences in languages, could be considered as barriers. Next, the values that we have, for example, the values that we have as Filipinos, no, they might be different from the ones that Americans have or the ones that Japanese people have or Koreans have. Our social relations could also affect the way that we communicate, no? How do we relate? How do we communicate with other people? How do we foster that relationship with them? No? How do we value these connections between and among people in our society? So there are differences in that as well that may be considered as barriers to communication. Aside from that, our concepts of time also differ from one culture to another. Of course, a very good example of this is the concept of Filipino time. Okay. So if you compare it to the concept of time of the Japanese people believe that if you are late, then that means on the clock you are actually on time. Okay? For example, if your meeting is at 8 o'clock on the dot, that means that you are late, no? 8:00 ang meeting, kasama mo ang mga Japanese at dumating ka ng eksaktong 8:00, ibig sabihin late ka. Okay? If you come in 10 minutes before 8 o'clock, that means that you are on time. Okay? However, pag Filipino time, no, ang concept ng oras ng mga Pilipino, okay, what we're afraid to normally refer to as the, again, Filipino time, when you come late, that's normal. That's very typical and it's acceptable in our culture, no? So not a lot of people will bat an eyelash on that one. So it's primarily acceptable, but for other cultures such as the Japanese culture and even the Korean culture, the Chinese culture at that, or East Asian culture in general, they are very particular with how you value time. Okay? But in Philippines, no, we are not very particular with that. We do respect other people's time. However, the concept of Filipino time has been generally acceptable. So it's been known all over the world that if a Filipino comes late, then it's just natural. It's just normal. It's typical Filipino. It's typical Filipino quality. Okay. So there's also this concept of space that we have to consider. Okay. So other people will be comfortable or other cultures are comfortable expressing themselves in close contact with another. Example, if even if it's a stranger, it's okay for them to be communicating it if it is in a close range or close contact, sobrang lapit, no? However, there are also cultures who are very particular with their concept of personal space. Okay? So you have to respect that when you communicate with them. There are instances where in miscommunication ensues because our concepts of space differ from one another. Okay, so there are also differences in dress, shorts, or how we understand, how we view dress. No, okay, so just might be different from one culture to another as well. Okay, so there are certain things that you can do with your hand. For example, in terms of gestures, the last one, The peace sign, okay sign, thumbs up. No, that might be interpreted differently among different culture. So you have to be careful with that as well, or else it could be a barrier to communication. Okay. So effective communication, lastly, involves overcoming these affirmation barriers by various ways, and it is essential that we deal and cope up with these barriers to ensure smooth and successful communication. Again, wala pong perfect na communication. No? There are barriers with the communication process that could hinder, interrupt, or disrupt the communication process. But we always aim to have successful and smooth communication. That's why we learn about the 7 C's of effective communication. All right, so that's it for our lesson 3. I hope you gain a lot of knowledge and learnings about this discussion. If you have questions or clarifications, you can message me in our group chat or in our chat box. That's it for today. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.